Let's break it down. For years, people kept asking, will the Epstein files ever really see daylight? Today, we finally got a first look, and it's messy already. I'm Imran, a Middle East-based analyst who follows US politics, power, and global affairs. In about 3 minutes, I'll walk you through what was actually released, what's not in these documents, and how to read the headlines without getting played. And before we dive in, if you want clear, simple breakdowns like this in your feed, hit subscribe, like the video, and share it with a friend who's following the Epstein story. It really helps the channel grow. First, what actually happened today? Congress passed something called the Epstein Files Transparency Act almost unanimously, and President Trump signed it in November. The law says the Justice Department has 30 days to release all unclassified records on Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, their investigations and flight logs in a searchable, downloadable format. Today is that deadline. The DOJ has now dumped the first batch, more than 300,000 pages of files on a public website, split into several datasets: photos, call logs, internal memos, court filings, and more. Officials say more releases will come over the next couple of weeks, not all at once. That's already the first controversy. The law literally says all unclassified records by today. Some of the same members of Congress who pushed this bill, Republicans like Thomas Massie and Democrats like Ro Khanna, are now accusing the DOJ of dragging its feet and talking about legal options to force a full release. Second, what's actually inside these files and what's definitely not? The law covers all DOJ and FBI records on Epstein and Maxwell, flight logs and travel records for planes and boats linked to Epstein, internal communications about his cases and even his death in federal custody. So yes, you're going to see names of very powerful people show up: politicians, billionaires, celebrities, royals, business leaders. Some early coverage is already highlighting photos and contact lists involving figures like Bill Clinton and others around Epstein's world. But being in a log or a photo is not the same as proof of a crime. The law is very clear on one point. The DOJ is not allowed to hide names just because they might be embarrassing or politically damaging to a public figure. But there are also hard limits on what we'll ever see. Victims' personal information must be protected. Any child sexual abuse imagery can never be released. Anything that could risk an active investigation or national security can be redacted or withheld. So this will not be a perfect, clean truth dump. It's going to be a mix of real evidence, contextless snippets, and thick black redaction bars. Quick reminder, if this kind of balanced breakdown helps you, pause for a second, hit like, and make sure you're subscribed. It tells YouTube to actually show these videos to more people. Third, how should you read the chaos that's coming? This release is going to be weaponized from all sides. Some people will grab a single line or one photo and say, this proves everything. Others will point to heavy redactions and say, the whole thing is a cover-up. The truth is in between. A name in a contact list might mean a direct role in abuse, a business relationship, or just flew once on the same plane. You need patterns, not just one screenshot. Who appears again and again? Who was warned? Who intervened legally? Who pushed for special treatment in the past? Those are the deeper questions. At the same time, the DOJ's decision to miss the all by today deadline and to do a phased release with heavy redactions will feed conspiracy theories. That's why even the law's sponsors are demanding a clear timeline and full explanation for what's being held back. And in the middle of all this are Epstein's survivors, real people who have already been failed by the system more than once. Their push was for transparency and accountability, but they are also the ones most at risk if their identities or private details leak. So let's break it down one last time. Congress forced an unusual level of transparency on one of the ugliest scandals in modern US history. The DOJ has answered with a huge but partial dump, hundreds of thousands of pages today, more promised later, and lots of redactions. Big names will trend, but a name in a file is not the same as a conviction. You need context, patterns, and follow-up reporting. The real battle now is over. How much is still being hidden, and whether this release brings actual accountability or just more political theater. If you want me to keep tracking the biggest revelations as journalists and lawyers dig through these files, tell me in the comments what angle you want next. The biggest political names? How the law was written? Or what this means for future cases against powerful abusers. I'm Imran. This is Imran Breaks It Down. If you found this useful, subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with one friend who's talking about the Epstein files right now. We'll keep breaking it down together.